Well, good morning, YouTube. This is Chuck, and it's Saturday, February 1st, 2025, about 11:30 in the morning, and I'm back out here working on my old truck again. If you hear a little whiny noise in the background, that's my neighbor over there across the street, and he's doing something up in his garage. I'm not sure what. It almost sounds like a grinder of some kind. I'm not sure what it is, but anyway, this is going to be part 3 of my trying to figure out why my old truck won't run. And just in case you didn't watch the first couple parts, here, oh golly, it's been a month ago now. I went out to go someplace in my old truck. I started up and it ran for about 30 seconds and then died, and I haven't been able to get it to start since. So I've been going through the diagnostics on it, and whenever something like that won't run, it's obviously going to be one of two things. It's either going to be a electrical issue of some kind or a fuel delivery issue of some kind. And I've been kind of flip-flopping back and forth as to what I'm checking, and right now we're over on the fuel delivery side because it's not getting gas to the fuel rail for the fuel injectors. So there's a reason for that, and I haven't figured out what it is yet. So my last video, I'd narrowed it back to trying to figure out whether the fuel pump was good or bad. And so when I left you, what we're going to do is we're going to run a separate source of power supply to the fuel pump, completely independent of the truck, and see if maybe the pump's okay, but that the truck itself is not telling the pump to turn on. And I'm kind of got a sneaking suspicion that's what's going on. So let me show you what I'm going to do. And when I left you last time, I told you I was going to make a jumper wire with a plug on it that would power the fuel pump, and that's what that is. I made that up yesterday. Okay, for my power, I'm going to use it. I have this long set of heavy-duty jumper cables. I'm going to hook those onto the battery and run them over there, so that'll give me a place to get power from. I've got a pan there to catch the gasoline that pumps out of the line because the line's been disconnected. And then, of course, here I got my little tote here, and I've got a multimeter and a test light and some other jumper wires and whatever else I think I might need. So I'm going to get all this hooked up, and oh yeah, and back over here, of course, I got my trusty piece of cardboard so I don't have to lay in the dirt. So I'm going to get all this stuff hooked up, and I'll bring you back, and we'll figure out what's going to happen here together. Well, I'm back under the truck, and where I'm at right now, I had to crawl in underneath from the back, and this is the differential, that greasy thing right there. And I had to actually crawl down here like this underneath the differential, and right up here, this thing right there, that's the power coming from the chassis wiring harness going to the fuel pump. So what I have to do is I have to disconnect that, and I have to hook my jumper lead into that. And so I don't know if I can do that on camera with you guys here or not, but I'm going to give it a try. It's really not all that difficult. There's a little release tab here on the bottom. I think it's going to take 2 hands. I've got you on the tripod, and the tripod's actually sitting on my chest. And so trying to keep you at the right angle here so you can see what's going on. I know some of you out there, you probably don't spend a whole lot of time laying under cars. Okay, so it looks like this little, the little tab that I got to release is on the top right there. And there it is. I can feel it with the end of my finger. I got to push that down. And at the same time, I got to try to pull this backwards. Oops, I got you out of the way here so you can't see. Okay, I'm going to have to set you down here for just a minute. Maybe I can reach around here. It's going to take 2 hands to do this. I'm going to knock you out of the frame here for just a second while I get my other hand up there. I have to trim all this grunting and stuff out of the final product here. And nothing ever wants to work right. I'm going to shut you off here for a little bit. There, I had to shut you off for a minute because this thing wanted to argue with me a little bit, but there's the chassis connection to the fuel pump. And I got my little jumper lead hooked up there. So now I'm going to get back out from underneath here and see about powering this up and see if we get some fuel. Now what I did, back up here a little bit further, maybe I can swing you around and show you. I can't reach it from here. I'm going to have to reposition. Be back in a minute. Well, there's my setup. I ran that up to the truck battery, and just in case you think things can't get any weirder around here, the truck battery was dead. So I had to figure out why that was, and what happened is that my, up here in the old truck, my ignition switch is pretty much worn out, and apparently when I worked on it last time, I thought I shut it off and pulled the key out of it, but it was actually still in the on position, and of course it ran the battery down. So what it ended up doing now is my next closest source of power, and these jumper cables are plenty long, is I came over here and I hooked it onto one of my batteries on my trailer. And I haven't had that cover off in a while, and if you see all that spider web stuff and those spider eggs, now this spider had a field day building a house in there. But anyway, I got my power now, so let's go back over here. And what should happen, I'm going to set you over here where you can see, get down here where I can make sure I got you aimed in the right direction. Okay, well you can see the fuel filter's right there. And when I hook this thing up, if that pump comes on and shoots fuel out of there into that pan, then we know that fuel pump's good. So you're seeing it at the same time I am. So let's see if we can hook this up and see what happens. There we go, look at that. What does that tell us? It tells us that the fuel pump is good. It tells us that that fuel filter is passing fuel. And it tells us that our problem is that the truck is not telling the fuel pump to come on. So you're seeing it at the same time I am. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all this stuff back together, and then we're going to move up under the hood and figure out from there. But it also means that I'm not going to have to change that darn fuel pump. I'm not going to have to drop the fuel tank again, because there's nothing wrong with the fuel pump. It's just that the truck is not telling the fuel pump to come on. And that's a good thing. It's both a good thing and a bad thing. So I'll bring you back when I got something to show you. Well, I put my battery charger on that dead battery, and then, boy, it bounced back amazingly fast. I don't know if you can see it for the sunlight, but that little green light right down there means that it says it's fully charged. And I checked it with a meter, and it says it is too. Now, but I'm going to let that thing sit on there for a while, because that might just be a surface charge. And where I'm going with this next is on most of these Ford fuse panels, this relay right there is the fuel pump relay. I wasn't sure about this one, but guess what I've got in my glove compartment? I actually have the original owner's manual for this truck. It was there in the glove box when I bought the truck. And so in the owner's manual is believe it or not, is a diagram of the fuse panel. And sure enough, it says this relay number 2 right there, the one that I just showed you. That is the fuel pump relay. And it also says the electronic engine control system and so forth is this fuse over here, which we checked in the last segment. So I'm going to check that relay after the battery charges up. But let me show you how I'm going to try to start the truck. Before I do that, let me show you what I'm going to do. I went ahead and ran my jumper wire right behind the cab there, right up to that spot there. And once the battery's charged, I'm going to run my big jumper cables, which are right there. It's a big set for jumping diesel trucks. And I'm going to run them across to the back of the cab there. And so that'll give me my place right there where I can hook up the power and make that fuel pump run. Now when I do that, the truck should start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside for about an hour or so and let this charger run for a while. And then I'll come back out and bring you the next segment. Hopefully this thing will start and run so I can move it, because I have to move the van out of the way and stuff anyway, and the truck, so that I can get it down where I want to park it at. So I'll be back in a little bit. Well, it's actually the next morning and I'm back, and you can see where I ran my cables and got my jumper wire ready to go. And I ran the battery charger all afternoon, and it still wouldn't crank the engine. So I don't know if I might have damaged the battery when it went bad. It might have ruined the battery. But I put this on it all night. It's a little hard to see here in the sun. You can maybe see that little yellow light right there. That indicates that this thing is never fully charged, even though it ran all night. Now, this is what they call a smart battery charger. And sometimes the smart battery chargers get fooled by a bad battery. You see, I set these off to the side so they're not connected to anything. It's just connected to the battery charger. So discharging that battery might have ruined it. And it's this right there, you can see it's about 1.5 years old, so it's still in warranty. But as I said, sometimes these smart chargers will get fooled by a bad battery. And so I got 2 things out here this morning. Number one, I brought my old dumb charger out here, so I can try charging it with that. The other thing, I've got a battery tester here. And so we're going to test that. And I'm going to see if maybe that thing is taking a charge, or if it's not, then I might have to take the battery out of it and take it over and get another one. Boy, if this thing is sure liking to throw curveballs at me, isn't it? So if you notice I'm wearing the same shirt that I was wearing yesterday, it's because this is my old work on the truck shirt. And so I usually put it on, if I'm going to get dirty, I put it on over whatever I'm wearing. So the next step is to disconnect that, connect that, do a load test on it, and see if maybe I might have ruined that battery in the process. That's kind of the way my luck seems to go. So I'll be back with you again here in just a second, and I'll show you in real time what that battery test does. Back in a second. All right, I disconnected the battery charger and disconnected the negative terminal, and I put my battery tester on it. And as you can see there, it's reading 13 volts, which is good. But to test this thing, what we do is, if you read this little thing right here, is that we put the load on it, which is this little switch right here, and then for 10 seconds, and then we read it under load, and we see what it says then. So let's do that right now. You ready? Okay. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000. All right, what is it reading? All right, it's reading that it's in the good range, it looks to me. It's still in the green. All right, I think that says that the battery is good, which is a good thing. And it somehow, for some reason or other, it just managed to fool that so-called smart battery tester. So let me take this all apart, and I'm going to slap the dumb charger on it for just a little bit and see what that says. But according to this, and it bounced right back there to now it's about 12.6. So that should be okay. All right, it's about 1.5 hours later. I put the old dumb charger on it for a while to bring it back up to peak after doing that load test on it. And it started out at a little bit above the 3 amp mark and has dropped back to about 2. And that tells me that it's probably in pretty good shape. So let's let me see if I can do this and bring you along. Let me first of all unplug that. See if I can do that with one hand. Nope, I can't. So I'm going to set you down over here where you can see what's going on. And I'm going to unplug that. And it doesn't want to come loose. No wonder it didn't want to come out. Okay, there, that's unplugged. We're unclipped. Let me set this over here out of the way. I'm going to put the ground cable back on. Brought my little tapper. Okay, so that's hooked back up. We'll set this stuff out of the way. And we'll put these jumpers back on it. Positive first, then the negative. So that should get us power back there for that fuel pump. All right, now we're going to go back over here. And I'm going to hook this to this. I'm going to have to set you down for just a minute. That should make the fuel pump come on. And this says we got 12.8 volts. So let's see if this thing will start. Well, before we start it, let me put the hood back down so I can see where I'm going. I should have done that already. I've been doing in the middle of all this, I've been kind of multitasking. I've been doing my normal Sunday chores. All right. Now, if I did everything right, this is going to start and run. Well, looky there. Looky there. It runs. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to move this and we're going to take it back down in the yard. So what's that all told us? It told us, number one, the fuel pump's okay. Number two, it's running kind of rough, and I think that might be because I got a bad fuel injector, and that might have flooded that number 8 cylinder again while I was messing with it, but we don't care about that. What we're doing is we're moving this thing, get it down in the driveway. This is the first time I've heard this thing run in a month. But we're putting it down, going to park it over on the gravel there where, in the earlier segment there, you saw where I had, over my shoulder, you could see where the van was parked. And that's where we're putting this thing. And get it back over there. I'm going to have to clean that number 8 plug, I'm sure. And here we are. Okay, this thing can sit here as long as it really needs to now. It's totally out of the way. I can get to my trailer. Let me unplug this, disconnect the, there we go. We disconnected that fuel pump little jumper wire. And I'll put all my tools away, but I think for right now, I can't get over here and try to get over here where I'm not too much in the sun, but I think this is, I'm going to call this one for right now. I'm going to put my tools away. It's already Sunday afternoon and we're leaving Tuesday morning, so I got a bunch of stuff I got to do before I put before I get the trailer ready to leave, and that'll take me the rest of the day and probably all day tomorrow. So this truck can sit here as long as it can. This has been part 3 of this little saga, and we know now that it's not a that it's an electrical problem somehow involving the truck, and that the truck's just not telling the fuel pump to come on. We've proven that. So chances are everything, whatever the problem is, it's going to be located right there under the hood, right above that left front wheel right in there. And it's either going to end up being something exotic or the computer's bad. And I'm going to let this go until I come back from my quartzite trip. There's no big rush on it. So right now, let me tell you, as I always do, take care of each other, love each other. And I'll try to get this uploaded this afternoon, but until I do, let me just tell you like I always do, till I talk to you again. Peace out.